So you have two questions. The first one is this. There is a lesson. I don't know if you guys have done the lesson on parallel lines. So there is this rule about parallel lines. I'm gonna start with that before I can continue with this one. So let's say you have this line right here. Okay, so this line right here. That's not a good one. Sorry. So this line and that line, they are parallel. They will never cross each other, even if you extend it over forever and ever. So if there's another line that crosses those two lines, so like that, something like that, so it creates eight angles, right? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. It creates eight angles. Now there is a rule: if there is a line that crosses parallel lines, this angle right here is going to be equal to that angle right there. It's called alternate interior angles. At the same time, this one right here will be congruent or equal to that one. So why am I talking about that? If you look at this in the problem number 5, it says study the diagram of the truss bridge. The top line, it says the top line, so this one right here, this top line right here, is parallel to the bottom line. So if this is your bottom line, okay, they are parallel. So it's pretty much like the blue one, right? Now, if you look at this other line right here, this one, see, isn't that the same configuration? So what can you say? Which two angles, just from looking at the parallel lines and the angles, which ones are the angles that are part of the graph of the red lines? You can see that angle 2 and angle 3, right, is the same as the purple ones. So they must be equal. Angle 1 is not part of this at this point because angle 1 does not really belong to the same, this one right, the same transversal line. But from the parallel lines, you can say that angle 2 is equal to angle 3. Okay? So we don't know them yet. But there are some additional information here. It says angle 1 is equal to 32 degrees. But it also says angle 1 and angle 3 are equal. So angle 1 is equal to angle 3, but then angle 1 is equal to 32 degrees, right? But then angle 3 is equal to angle 2. So therefore angle 2 must also be 32 degrees, if that makes sense. Okay? All right, now let's move on to the next one. All right, you might wonder why I have this drawing here. The thing with geometry problems is that it's just like this guy is trying to reach this flag right here, right? Well, before he could reach that flag right there, it is assumed that he will hop from one rock to another. So he started probably here, the rock that's farthest from the flag, and then he hops in, and then he gets closer, and then hops in again, and then hops in again, hops in. So he hops from one rock to another until eventually he gets closer and closer to this destination. Now, why is that important in geometry? Normally, that's the way they set up problems. So in here, in this problem number 11, you're looking for angle x. So these are stories about angles, right? But you kind of need to use the things that are far from it and start getting closer to x. So for instance, you have 143 is the angle furthest from x. Now, if you can find this angle, it's not really asked of you to find it, but if you can find that angle, which is closer to 143, you got to see that this red angle is closer to x, right? It's just like the hopping guy getting closer to the pink flag. So if you get that, then we get closer to x. Now, what's the relationship between that red angle and the 143? Well, they create a half a pi, right? A half circle. So they must be supplementary. So you can say now that 143 degrees plus that red dot is equal to 180, right? And if I subtract 143 here minus 143, then you can say that the red dot must be equal to 37 degrees. So we can write that there. We know that that's going to be 37 degrees now. See, we're getting closer to the x. All right, now if you look at these triangles, you kind of need to look at all the things that are in there and see what kind of relationships we can come up with. So this triangle right here, okay, what do we know about triangles. We know that the angles inside of a triangle, they are all equal to 180. So if this is 77 here, that's 37 there. If we just know this angle, so this particular angle right there, see that purple angle, that's way closer to x. So once we find that purple angle, then you can solve for x, right? So from let's find that purple angle. So we can say that 77 plus 37 plus the purple dot is equal to 180, only because they are all interior angles of a triangle. So this is going to be 114 plus the purple dot is equal to 180. I subtract 114 and I don't know what that is. So that's 170, so 66 degrees. All right, so that purple dot must be 66 degrees. So I'm gonna replace that now with 66 degrees. So what do you think is the next relationship? It's right next to x. So we can say that this relationship between 66 and x is the same relationship as that 37 and 143, right? They make a straight line. So therefore, you can say that 66 plus x is equal to 180 because they're supplementary. And I think from here, you can solve x.